people, it's me, Eder, and I hope you guys enjoyed that intro of the Freedom 2. I wanted to give you all a one-year review on this bike and my thoughts on it. Now, I'm not a pro on bikes or anything like that, but I have put in my good share of miles on this bike, a solid 324 miles, which isn't too bad for a year's worth of riding. So some specs on the bike. You can choose from 3 types of batteries. You have the 8.8, 10.4, and 14 amp hour battery. I decided to stick with the 10.4 as that equates to roughly about 45 miles, and that's pretty good for what I like to do with my bike. So for mileage, it's gonna vary on the rider. I roughly weigh about 210 pounds, and when I ride my bike, I like to have my backpack on with some equipment and tools on there in case of things happen on the bike. So realistically, I'm probably getting about 20 to 25 miles, and that's me riding on the highest mode. If I'm more of, on a conservative, just watching out for my battery, I can definitely get a little over 25 miles, but realistically, I'm always on the highest mode, and 20-25 is probably what I get a lot. For power modes, you do have 5 power modes to choose from. I'm usually on the last setting as I do like to get the most power, and I feel like the bike is a lot zippier when it's on that last setting. Being able to choose from each setting or mode, you also do have Shimano shifters on this bike. Transitioning from one gear to another is very smooth, and when going on an incline or anything like that, I have no complaints when switching from one gear to another. So for top speed, you do get up to 25 miles an hour, and that's pretty decent, especially in the streets of Denver or when you're on trails. I'm able to keep up with cars, and I'm able to get to point A to point B without having to worry. The motor is located on the back tire, and it is a Bafang motor. Performance-wise, it's great. I have no complaints, and when going uphill or anything like that, it's able to carry my weight and performance top notch. For brakes, you do have mechanical disc brakes, and they work well, but I think if we could have gotten hydraulic brakes, performance probably would have been better, and also just less maintenance as well. Moving on, the bike is lightweight. It weighs about 39 pounds, and that's with the battery attached. But when you do detach the battery, it does become a lot lighter, and it is a lot easier to transport. Handling on the bike is great. I like the way the handlebars feel, and I feel confident when riding on the bike. It's something that's important to me, just because if I'm riding and I need to dodge or react quickly, I know that I can do so just because of the way the handlebars feel and just the ergonomics of it. So on the handlebars, I do have the throttle option. It's on the left side of my handlebar, and this thing is awesome. I love using it, and it just picks up speed so quickly, especially when I'm at a complete stop. It beats having to pedal. All I just do is use the throttle option, and I'm ready to go. So it's definitely cool. And just to the right of the throttle, you do have the horn as well. It does make a decent sound. It's enough to let people know that you're behind them, just to warn them and whatnot. So if you have the option to get the horn, it's definitely a plus. And lastly, just to the right of the horn, you do have your display. Display will be showcasing your top speed, battery percentage, and you're also able to activate your lights through the display as well. So for ride quality on the bike, it is pretty good. You definitely are gonna be feeling bumps that you do hit, any encounters on the road, you're gonna be feeling that. There's no suspension on the bike, and the tires aren't the widest. They're at 26 by 1.75. So it doesn't really absorb too much, but you definitely are gonna be feeling bumps. It's not a deal breaker, but it is just one thing to be on the lookout for. And lastly, as we're touching up on ride quality, you do have the seat here. It is pretty cushiony, but again, with the bumps or anything else like that, you are gonna be feeling it. I'm sure you can definitely find more comfortable seats online, but I just haven't found something that is eye-catching and just kind of fits the vibe of the bike. So if I find something, I'll definitely let you guys know. So no bike is perfect, and I do want to mention this con, and it could be user error on my end or not really too sure how, but I figured I'd just mention it. I hadn't ridden the bike in about 2 months just because of the weather here in Denver. It was snowing on and off, and I had placed the bike on its own bike rack, and I figured I'd take the bike out for a spin. Weather was nice that one day. I took the bike out, and the back spokes were super loose, and the tire just became very wobbly. It wasn't safe to ride, and I'll throw some footage on here now so that way you guys can see. So here's some footage I took a few weeks back. It was horrible. As you can see, the back wobble is crazy. I reached out to a few local e-bike shops, but they didn't want to touch the bike since the spokes were attached to the motor, and they were afraid they would get it wrong when fixing. I'm sure they wouldn't, but I get where they were coming from. Better safe than sorry. I then reached out to WingBike and they pointed me to a local person here in Denver, and they were really cool, and luckily they were able to fix this crazy wobble. So what are my thoughts on the WingBike? I would say if you're looking for an alternative to the Van Moof, something lightweight, then 100% this bike is the way to go. I like the integrated lights from the back to the front. This bar here, it's super stylish, sleek looking, and honestly, it's just a great looking bike. Now, if you're wanting something that's a little bit more torquier, able to absorb bumps on the road a lot better, then you'll have to look for a fat tire bike. Those are gonna have a better motor and just a better experience when it comes to all around biking. But in my opinion, for what I like to do around the city, transporting the bike from, to the car, to the bike room, just to here, it's a better bike in my opinion, and just a better experience for sure. So that sums up the WingBike video. I just wanted to showcase my thoughts on the bike after a year of ownership and 324 miles later, and just my thoughts on it. I haven't really seen too many videos on this bike, and I figured I'd just share my thoughts again after a year. So if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely go ahead and give me a like, drop some comments down below if you have any questions on the bike, and definitely subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.